Well, good morning, friends. Welcome to the Peach Capital. Taking a little walk down the alleyway behind the old bank. Bank's back yonder. One of my buddies owns a building down here. We're doing some work on it. It's the old printing office where the newspaper was made. All printing. It's gonna be fun taking apart a building inside the building. Now I'm going in the back door here. It's all messed up. Been doing some work cleaning it out, but all this old printing equipment is so cool. I have no idea what this is. My dad would have known. He was in the printing industry. These are pretty old machines. I'm not interested in that stuff today, though. It's going to be this old office section up here. We're going to take it apart and do something really cool with it. Now, just yesterday, we took down a bunch of photos and work permits and things that were hanging on this wall to prepare it, because I'm going to take this entire wall, all of it, the door, the wood, the studs, and we're going to build a room. Over in the bank building, we're going to move out of the van and finally get into the building. I've got some plans. It was actually my friend's idea to do this. He was going to take all this apart and throw it away, and said, "Hey, you know what? We ought to go build you a room down there." And I said, "That's a grand idea. Let's do it." So we're moving off the windows for a couple of days, and when I say a couple of days, I mean a couple of days. I think this can be done in 5 days total, and we'll be living a new life. Looks like trash right now, but it's gonna look good in its new home. Well, I'm scoping out where I'm gonna dump the trash in the back of this truck out here. Thought I'd show you the front of the building. In case you're driving by, you know which one it is. Yeah, it is. All printing company. For everything that's printed, it says. Right there was the V.E. Edwards building. Not any longer. Some neat stuff. This is part of the elevator that was in there. Isn't that neat? Big mechanism. I think that is the actual elevator. Made in Louisville, Kentucky. Fellas are out back dumping some trash right now. Taking away some old printing equipment. It's going to the dump. I don't know what this machine did, but it was probably really high tech at the time when they were using it. It used these floppy disks. Went in there, the big old floppies. Working away, pulled down part of the ceiling, and I found these pictures. They just floated down when I pulled a board off. Take a look at this. It's like an old schoolhouse. Must be here in town. Here's a really old, like log cabin schoolhouse. It's oh, there's even writing on the back. March 27th, 1923, Dominic School, Miss Rudy Fuller's class right there. Isn't that neat? This one, there's no writing on the back of this first one. This is Uncle Ryle Bates, September 12th, 1923. Old Ryle there. Check that out. Here's some more folks. This is also 1923. Nothing on the back of this one, but that's a cool old picture too. I bet there's a lot more where I'm about to start working. Looks like a lot of old papers, newspapers, pictures, but it's soaked in water. There's all kinds of history in this place. Here's an old record book from 1949. Just people buying advertisements in the paper. Very cool.
As we can, but all that's
Oh my goodness. Just full. This is so cool.
A lot of these pictures are stuck together, but some of them are not. The pictures of old trucks and
look at that.
schools.
Wow.
But
a lot of these I think are all from the, oh look, here's a look for the wagon.
But the first newspaper started in 1900s here. In 1923, that was when the Johnston News was being published. That's them. There's boxes of these pictures up there still.
$1923. Well, we're getting there. Got the whole room pretty much emptied out, taken apart, all the photos and old receipts for newspaper printings are all sitting in the front. In fact, it took about the whole front of the room. I'll show you how much came out of here. We had to cut some power, but there it is. All kinds of stuff. They had kept all these newspapers. I think this is from the 80s. The Ridge Citizen. No, let's see. February 14th, 1980. All of the lumber from the All Printing Company down the street is now in the old bank building. I've staged everything. I've drawn out on the floor where I want the walls to go. I've added a couple things in the design, and we're gonna get started today. Well, let me show you what I'm gonna do. Here is my down plan. We're gonna be 20 feet long by 12 feet wide. Walk-in closet. The bed's gonna be here facing out, and the doorway is right here on this side. That doorway will be right about there, and we're gonna leave the brick wall exposed, clean that up. The closet will be over there. When I first started planning out this bedroom, I thought it was going to be a temporary room until we built our full apartment upstairs. But things quickly changed when I realized the opportunity of having a separate living space for guests, or using this as our primary living space with a large open upstairs. We're still not sure, but one thing I know is this isn't going to be a temporary space, and I'm building it with that in mind. 100% of the walls are recycled. Most of the lumber came from the office at the All Printing Company, including one fully intact wall. And the rest, about a third, came from a demolition project in the building next door that I showed you in one of the last videos. Since these walls are going to be installed on concrete, it's required by code to have a moisture barrier or the base plate be made of treated wood. I had treated wood saved from a project a few years ago, but for some of it I did have to use a moisture barrier underneath. Well, that's it for the day. Done for the day. I thought we'd get all the framing done, but I don't have all the lumber I need for the framing. Still got to get the 2x6s for the ceiling and 2 more boards for the wall, but we've got all the walls pretty much done. We've got to put an air conditioner over here right behind that blasting light, and I don't have that framed in yet because I don't have the air conditioner, but everything else is done. Time to shower down, shower up. I want to use this space above the room as storage, so I checked with the table span calculator online to determine the size and spacing required for the ceiling joist, which turns out is a minimum of 6 inches dimensional lumber at 2 feet apart. I also confirmed that the ledger board that the joist will be attached to on the brick side of the wall have 2 lags every 12 inches. So after a little math and a trip to the orange store, I was in process of completing all of the framing. Next was electric. Pulling wire is a whole lot easier with help. So thanks to my friends, I saved a lot of time and hassle trying to do it myself. Now it is code to put an arc fault breaker in the sleeping area outlet, so that's what I'm going to be doing. That breaker's not cheap. It costs about $45, but it's what you got to do. Electric is one of my favorite parts of any project. I find it to be relaxing. My dad was proficient in the trade, so I picked up on it early.
and I had the opportunity to work for an excellent commercial electrical contractor for several years, which gave me a tremendous amount of knowledge and respect for the trade. I'm using EMT, electrical metallic tubing, to make home runs to the room outlets, lights, and smoke alarms on 4 separate circuits. Now, I don't claim to be the best, but I do enjoy the art of pipe bending and finding creative ways to get from point A to point B in the most aesthetically pleasing and safe way possible with the industrial materials I'm required to use. Here's how the electric turned out. I've got all the lines coming into this curvy EMT. It's going into these 2 boxes where the first set of outlets are. Then we have the second set of outlets. We have lights in this one, and the smoke detectors are in this box. I also have a run of EMT going up here, which will serve as smoke detectors upstairs and the rest of the building as well. Then I have another smoke detector right here. I added this 12-volt transformer for a doorbell. Not sure if we'll use it for a doorbell or an on-air light, something like that, but I added it just in case. Finally, I'm done with all of the electrical, done with all of the framing. It took help from my friends here. Now we get to hang drywall. Are you looking forward to this like I am?
Yeah.
I am actually looking forward to it because a buddy down the street let us borrow this drywall lift. We got some 12-foot boards we're gonna put up. So this is gonna make it a whole lot easier. My back doesn't hurt. It's not gonna hurt all day, I know it, because I'm not gonna have to lift all this stuff. This is great, and you guys don't have to lift it, so.
I like that.
Yep. So here we go. Cutting drywall is really easy. You just gotta score it, pop it, cut the back end. Make sure your measurements are good, and you're in business. And that's it. If you have a rasp, it's good to use it on the ends. This is a little overkill because I lost my good one. But this works, smooths out all the dusty stuff. We had to lift 5 12-foot boards onto this ceiling, but this lift and my friends made quick work of a task that usually isn't one of the most favorable to achieve. And after only about an hour, we were finally able to find that piece we were looking for the whole time. The last piece. The lift certainly gave us more time to enjoy the adult beverages that were provided for all involved after everything was set.
We got the whole ceiling completely done. I got one small patch to put in where the sheets were too short. I'm using 12-foot sheets of drywall on the ceiling and 8-foot sheets around. We got to cut a little bit off. It's not totally 8 feet, just a couple inches shy. But it's still a pretty big room. It's about the size of a hotel room, well, minus the bathroom. So the whole, where a hotel room bathroom would be is just a big closet. I think it's going to turn out really good. Here on the walls, I'm using this mechanism. It's just a lifter for the drywall sheets. You put your foot right in this little tab and gives you a little bit of movement in there. You can perfectly adjust the wall board. And I have my measurement, but it won't fit, and it's because of this brick wall over here. There's quite a gap most of the way. So I'm just gonna do a little drawing on the board and custom cut it. Like a glove. I've got some electrical components on the back, switches and boxes and stuff. So I'm gonna put the board up, and since I have access all the way around, I'm just gonna mark them from the back, cut them out there. Easy way to go.
I know I'm getting pretty far ahead on the drywall, and you might be thinking, well, where's the insulation at? Well, I have started putting it into the back because I got an unfaced insulation. I got it on Facebook Marketplace. It was a little cheaper.
So I'm using that behind the walls after I put the drywall in, since I have a lot of access to the back of the walls. Now, part of the insulation I have is faced, so I'm putting that on first, and it's all the same. The face just has a paper cover on it, so you staple it to the walls. It does exactly the same thing. It's an R15, and the R19 is going to go into the ceiling. It's also unfaced. That's pretty typical for 2x6 walls and ceilings. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to pop up some of the insulation and then finish putting this wallboard on. The electric is done, the framing is done, the drywall is 95% done. I didn't pick up enough drywall, so I've got to go back to the store and pick some of that up in the morning, but I've already started putting mud on the walls. I'm not an expert mud man, and if it wasn't for my college roommate and one of my best friends in my life, Nathan Coker, who saved me on a project at my old house in Ohio land, he really showed me all the tips and tricks. It wasn't just Nathan, but a few other contractors, like my cousin Chris Miller up in Ohio land, my friend Eric Close, and Scott Benz. These are all guys who taught me a thing or two about drywall finishing. They taught me that it's truly an art that takes some time to get used to. But once you do, it flows pretty nice and you can put out a really nice product. Well, working on this drywall on the ceiling is not a clean process. Is this what you're supposed to look like when you do this? I don't know. I'm not a professional. This is just how I do it. It turns out good. I don't know if I've ever been this muddy before, though. While I'm all covered in mud and need to shower down anyway, I figured I'd just take the opportunity to grind down this wall, clean off all the mortar that's been on it for years, while I was doing a little mudding up at the top, which I should have waited to do until I got this part done. It's okay, though. If I mess up any of the mud, I'll just fix it later. But while I was doing that, I was getting a lot of soot from the old fireplace all over me. So I know this is going to be a total mess. So I covered everything up. All the walls are sealed in now. So let's finish this day off with a gigantic dust storm inside. This is what the brick looks like up close. It's just a covering of a lot of old mortar. This was never meant to be exposed. This was all behind the fireplace, and you can see where the soot line runs. It used to go straight up next to the fireplace upstairs. They shared the same space, but their chimneys connected way up on the second floor. And over here we have a little hard to see plaster area. I'm gonna scrape that down too and try to keep its personality, but clean it up. Well, that wasn't so bad. Dirty, but it wasn't so bad. I mean, check it out. Doesn't it look good? Don't look good. Well, it's a day of work. It's gonna look good in there though. I gotta clean up. Okay, the dust has settled. It even got dusty inside the rest of the building. I had it pretty sealed off. There was a little escape route for some of the dust, but it filled the room. And this place was just so dirty. I took a peek, but I haven't inspected. Let's go check it out. got some cleaning up to do. The wall looks good. It's gonna look really good once I clean it. I've got a little carried away over here and started taking apart some of this loose brick that's in this fireplace surround. I really wish I knew what this looked like. It's just hard telling, but when I was pulling apart one of these bricks here, I found this little bead. I think it's part of a necklace or something, but it was just down here in the dirt underneath some of this brick. Check this out. Looks like it went on a necklace. There's a hole that goes through it. It's pretty cool. Why was it down here? It does look like this brick was just tossed in here and filled with dirt. Okay. A quill office pin. This doesn't look old. Coffee stirrer. Well, the chances of this bead being really old are pretty slim now. Duct tape. Looks like somebody got lazy on the job site. This is the fun stuff to me, exploring the unseen stuff behind the walls. I had to stop vacuuming because the vacuum got too full. This thing weighs about, I don't know, 40 or 50 pounds. That's a lot to grind off of the walls. Well, the drywall is 99% complete. I'm gonna wait until after I put primer on the walls to fix any other spots that I see, because there might be some things that show up. So we're gonna get started with the priming of the walls now. I've got 2 gallons of this super paint from Sherwin-Williams. Got accessible beige. It's going to be the color. This one's a couple years old. I did mix it up a few days back, so I know it's going to be okay. But I'm going to mix both of these together in this nice clean bucket. We're going to add this latex paint additive and extender. It smooths out the paint and it gets rid of roller marks. I've already shaken this up, but you gotta shake it up pretty good. It wants 6 ounces per gallon, so 12 ounces, and that's about half of this. Now that all the dust is settled, I'm finally able to clean off the brick wall using trisodium phosphate and water. With some scrubbing, it cleaned off really well. Then it was on to installing the lights, switches, and all the final punch list items to make this room complete. One of those items was installing the ceiling fan that I purchased at the Habitat for Humanity thrift store for $10. It was missing a bracket, so I made one out of a pipe that I'd saved from a previous job. It was rusty, but I was able to machine it, clean, and paint it with success. I was able to salvage some shelving from the old D.E. Edwards hardware store before it was razed a few months ago. I used what I could for shelves for Sarah's closet and the rest for trim. Now I hate to do it, but I got to cut this long, nice old shelf from the hardware store to make trim out of it. But the good thing is I'll not have to make any trips to the hardware store to get new trim. So we'll cut it up.
The last part of the project before I complete all the punch list items is cleaning up the floor. This is going to take a little bit of time. I'm in the middle of building this Murphy bed. I'm liking it the way it's turning out, really nice. There'll be a whole separate video just about that. But I wanted to take a little bit of time and clean up this floor. There's a linoleum that was applied down here at some point a long time ago, and the residue from it has just been left here. They've cleaned up all the tiles before we bought the building. Most of the tiles. I did clean up a portion of it, but this adhesive that was left down here was really bad. I didn't want to be walking on it, and even though we're going to use area rugs in here, well, I thought it'd be best just to take it all up. So I'm using this floor adhesive remover. It works great. Let it sit for a couple hours, and it'll scrape right up. Well, that's it. Took about 20 minutes to scrape it, 2 hours to let it sit. It'll probably take 30 minutes to clean it up. Maybe 20. Not bad. It's gonna look good. After this, it'll get ground down with the floor grinder. Not before I'm done with this room, but eventually we'll do that and then dye the floor. I think that's what we're gonna resolve to. Looks good. I don't usually care to work with heavy chemicals like this, but sometimes you have to do it to keep the job moving. After cleaning up the goo, I used water to neutralize the acid on the floor, cleaned, scrubbed, and then cleaned again with a mild floor soap. Okay, that's it. Everything is complete. Well, all but one small project that I'm going to have to take on in the future to totally complete the room, but everything else is done in this room, and it looks awesome. Are you ready to see it? That's what I thought. Let's go take a look. Well, it kind of looks like the previous life that it had as an office at the All Printing Company on the outside, but on the inside, it is a beautiful new space. The brand new bedroom. I am extremely happy with how it all turned out. The Murphy bed has turned out amazing. I love the backrest that easily pulls out and pops back in. I can set it along the wall for seating if I have the Murphy bed up, and I'll show you how I built the Murphy bed in a separate video from start to finish. It's a manual bed with no lift assist, so it's quite heavy, but with help from a partner, raising and lowering it is a breeze. It looks great when it's up and makes the space multi-use in case we ever decide to have a dinner party and want to open up this space for guests. The fireplace area is the only thing that I need to complete later on. I just didn't have time to finish that up, and it looks okay the way it is right now. So we're gonna leave it for a little bit. Got a bookshelf in here with some books that we like to get into. I've built this plant shelf slash bookshelf that also doubles as an air conditioning hole for when the temperature is right. It's pretty cool out now, so we've covered it up and we're using it like that for now. Sarah has a very large closet that will accommodate all of her things, so I'm happy about that. The walls have turned out super smooth. I don't think I've ever done a better job on drywall finishing than on this room. I am just extremely happy with how everything has turned out here. When I went ahead and fetched some art that Sarah and I have been collecting over the years, this one's from Sarah, it's a Monet she got as a gift somewhere around high school from her parents. I really like the colors in that. It matches the room really great. And then we have 3 other pieces of art so far here in the room. I'm sure we'll add to it later on. We have this other piece of framed piece of music, a prelude by Chopin. This is from Sarah as well. I have this very rare colored block print that my friend Wayne Hosking gave me with a kite flyer on the Tokaido Road in Japan. This is a unique piece. I like to hang it around any place that I've lived for the last several years. My favorite piece is hanging above the bed. It's this Grateful Dead cover from a box set that they sold several years ago. But I've always loved that piece. I think it fits nicely right above the bed. Now the artwork really makes the room look great, but some things that make it very functional are the USB-C/USB-A outlets that I put on either side of the bed, and the dimmers that I put on the closet and in the main part of the room here. They really give a nice feel, especially at nighttime when we're watching movies or whatever on our iPad. Then we can dim the lights and give it a nice feel in here. I'm also very much enjoying all the plants that we've placed around the room. I was able to find these two area rugs that perfectly fit in the room. They match even the concrete floor and the different colors in the room. I think it really ties the room together. Well, that's it, friends. The room is done. Besides a couple things we're gonna add, I'm sure some pieces of art over time, and of course the fireplace that'll be done in a few weeks. I've already started that project, cleaning up the bricks, so it won't take too long to assemble that and make it look really cool. Well, friends, thanks for joining me here on this completion of a really great project. I'm glad it's finally done. Now it's time to move on to the next project. That's going to be completing an apartment space in this downstairs area. We're going to work on some window parts here and there. Winter's coming, and although I had a goal of being done with the upstairs by November, that is not gonna happen. Some of you predicted that, and you were correct, but it's because I've taken on this project and have been producing some very nice things down here in our new apartment space. So friends, I appreciate you joining me. Look forward to the next video where I'll show you how I built this Murphy bed from start to finish. Thanks for joining, friends. I appreciate your company, and I'll see you in the next video.